Welcome to the I Choose Health podcast. I'm your host, Stefan Lessie. Today we welcome my friend, trainer, and author, Andre Zemnovitsch, to the show. All right, guys, welcome back to the I Choose Health podcast. I'm your host, Stefan Lessie. I know it's been a couple of weeks since we've last, spent this time together, but, we definitely need to take some time off, to really get back to things that are really important. Of course, this podcast is very important to me and to the people that I, share it with, but I really wanted to take the time to just really prioritize the production side of things. So I needed to take that time to really do that. So, I think on our last episode, we were with Drew Mannon. We were talking about empathy in the personal training field. And that was such an amazing and insightful episode. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed that time talking to Drew. And just like, Drew's spirit is like really deep. You could tell that he really comes from a place of care. And it's that same reason that I take that love and care into my work as well as a personal trainer. And, today's guest is no different. And so, our guest today has overcome some personal challenges, and, he stands today a much stronger and better person for the things he's gone through. And as a colleague and friend, I can say that his outlook on life is inspiring and really is a breath of fresh air. He takes his balance of wisdom and care for others into his work as a personal trainer and his deep meditation and recovery work with clients. Please help me welcome Andre Zemnovitsch to the show.
Hi, my friend. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing today, Andre?
Can't complain. Every day's a blessing. It's good to be here.
No, I appreciate it, man. I really thank you for, taking the time to sit down with us and, give us a little bit of background into your experience. So, take me back to, like your life, especially prior to that paradigm shift, and also go into your journey, as you were going through that shift.
It'll be my pleasure. And as you mentioned, I have so much respect for you. Also, we bonded at the get-go. With our modus operandi of training, empathy. That's the magic word that I really just try to get the younger trainers, especially, to understand how important it is to have when you're dealing with people, when you're dealing with helping people health-wise get to their best states with everything. You have to be empathetic, otherwise just don't do it. And that was the first thing I was really drawn to you, was seeing how much you care and your good energy and your wisdom and your skill in training people. And I was I'm honored to have crossed paths with you. I've been in the fitness industry for about 18 years now. I'm 37, and I started around when I was 19. I was born into a restaurateur family, kind of a very extroverted nightlife family, and my father had a nightclub. So from an early age, I was always around performers and party people and people who enjoyed life. And I
Right.
think if I enjoyed that in moderation, I would have been in a different place than I am now. But growing up in a Russian Ukrainian community, you had to show that you could handle yourself, and alcohol was always one of the first things that would be a transition into one's manhood. I of
Right.
course, being someone who enjoys excessive things. I went a little bit too heavy into alcohol and the nightlife and partying. And actually, in my 20s, while I was also training in a myriad of places, including Bally's and some boutique gyms and private sessions, I was moonlighting as a rock and roll journalist, as a music journalist. And of course, I was going to parties left and right, all sorts of events and soirees. And I started to abuse alcohol and to abuse being intoxicated in general. And, I've been sober now for 9 years, and I've really delved into what was the catalyst that started that. And I realized it wasn't just one thing. It's usually a pie chart. It's usually a multi-headed hydra where you have to get to the root of it. And it's a combination of trauma and lifestyle and lack of discipline and growing pains and a plethora of other reasons, which led to me not living the cycles which were the best for me. And so, like most, I actually had rock stars came in an intervention. That's how bad it was. Not to mention, I lost credibility. I lost all my finances. I lost my mind, quite frankly. I developed complex PTSD from the ramifications of my excessive buffoonery with alcohol and the rock and roll, sex, drugs, and rock and roll lifestyle. And
Word.
so I was really set back because even when I was at my worst, I loved training. I was very good at it. I cared about people, but unfortunately, I didn't care about myself as much as I needed to. And until recently, I realized that you need to care about yourself in order to care for others. As the Buddhists and the Taoists and the shamans believe and understand, we are all one. We're just reflections of one another, regardless of how we look. We're all just light, and energy, oscillating around, living this life. So that's why I really got into the Buddhist studies and Taoism and Zen and Tai Chi and Qigong and Kung Fu, which are now my modus operandi in training. And it was definitely, people ask me, do you regret, not giving up drinking and partying earlier? And, a part of me says, yes, definitely. I would have been in a substantially better place financially and whatnot. But at the other time, I believe everything is a lesson. And if one is able to transmute, if take a negative such as alcoholism and make it positive, as in learning how to help others with said alcoholism, that's a positive, that's wisdom. But
Mhm.
insanity would be, as the wise ones say, repeating the cycles again, which thankfully, at least for 9+ years, I have not, and I've been on the trajectory which I am now.
Word.
So it was definitely a wild ride. There's a lot to talk about. I've actually written about it. I'm writing my memoirs about it, and yeah, it's everything. I truly believe this, and not to sound cliche or one of those hanging their baby posters, but really, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger if you learn how to harness it and you learn how to take that into consideration and never make the mistakes again. What's that wise proverb? Forgive yourself, but never forget your mistakes.
Right. Yeah. And I know offline, I know you shared some further things with me, like where that lifestyle led you to. I don't know how open you are, and it's definitely okay if you don't feel like going into it.
Oh,
But
I'm
how
very
open are you into going into, how far that lifestyle really took you? I don't know if you could like delve into that a little bit more.
Oh, I'm very transparent. In fact, I'm so open about it. I even do some amateur stand up comedy from time to time, and I don't even need to write any new jokes. I just reminisce about my tomfoolery in my 20s. So no, it was bad. It was bad because what happened is that when you're addicted to anything, be it chemicals, be it gambling, be it sex, be it sugar. When you're addicted to something, an addiction is the only thing, or at the very least, the highest thing which you're concerned about. Even if you are a saintly individual, if you're addicted, it really is a chemical imbalance. And I know this is going to be a piggyback to more topics that we're going to discuss further. But when you're addicted, and again, I'm speaking from myself, but also from the thousands of people I've met who had or have addictions, and all the thousands of shows I've seen, from intervention to all sorts of series, there's patterns involved, and an addiction is your goal. That's your goal. They say it's kind of like a inside joke in the addiction community, but someone that's addicted to pills or crack or heroin, they know how to make money. They're more business savvy than most people are. Like, it's a very expensive habit. And the reason being is because that's the only thing that they're focused on, that they're
Yeah.
concerned on, is to get their next fix. And they're very
Right.
resourceful. Do you have any idea that the schemes and everything that they do is truly business wise? I mean, Forbes could write about it. A
Mhm.
lot of young people, I guess, uh, could see that it's possible if you focus on something. Again, obviously not that end of the spectrum with addiction, but if you focus on success and health and wealth, that energy, you are almost instantly going to materialize it into fruition, because that is where your concentration goes. And this is the base of all these meditation studies and breath work and life coaching, is to get your dreams to be a reality. But in my case, I was very good at training. I was very good with people, and I was always around alcohol. And somehow, I should be dead. I mean, I was pretty much dead numerous times. I ended up getting my stomach pumped. I blacked out so many times that there are chunks of my life that literally I have no recollection of. I got into a lot of legal issues with a bad bar fight that cost me, $75,000 for a lawyer, and years of psychological complex PTSD abuse that's occurred from the court case, and from being an outsider pariah, because I'm from a small community in Brooklyn. My neighborhood is pretty much a giant community, and I was ostracized because of what happened, and rightfully so, because it was not myself. It was a state of mind that was masked by alcohol, which was controlled by alcohol. And, I needed that. I needed to get in trouble, to truly have myself have that rock bottom moment of realize that's it. This is my last chance. Next time I black out, I mean, I'm pretty much effed. I'm pretty much, that's it. Like, I just felt it. That if I were to drink again after the last incident that I had, which was the bar fight that got me into legal trouble, I would have just died, because also my body started to fail. I started to get complications. I remember I'm standing one day in the middle of Manhattan. I feel relatively fine. I was already day drinking. I was already on a 3-day whiskey bender, and I was, a healthy trainer, worked out. I was 210 pounds of pure muscle. And I'm standing there on a nice sunny day, and I just start to develop a cough. And I remember I'm coughing in my hand, and all of a sudden blood starts coming out. And then just later, I realized I had bleeding ulcers, and I had so much damage to my stomach that if I didn't get the medical intervention that I got years later, I very likely would have been kaput, in really bad shape. So that's how bad it got. So let alone thinking of how to help clients or how to build my business. I was concentrating on not dying. That's how bad the addiction got. And yeah, so it was bad. Not to mention the financial burns. I mean, right now I'm still climbing out of a hole. It's crazy. My credit score is non-existent because I couldn't pay the credit cards that I got, and I have student loans. And coming back from getting sober into pretty much being penniless, not having any reputation. I've been revitalizing myself ever since, and dealing with these issues really got me deep into my own psyche and my own being, which is a blessing, which is one of these wisdoms that I've mentioned earlier. And so at this point right now, being close to a decade sober, I mean, it's almost 10 years. My last drink was 2015, August of 2015. And since then, I have went through obviously years of strife dealing with my ramifications, but now it's really, I'm not to mention proud of myself. I'm extremely successful in my line of work. I appreciate everything. I live in a state of permanent gratitude. And I'm truly, even with the state of the world and the state of things right now, geographically and politically, I really am in an amazing place energetically, mentally, spiritually, and physically. And for that, I have God, the universe to thank. And here I am right now, speaking about being able to speak, feeling great, thank God, to a new friend, a relatively new friend and colleague who I respect very much, and I'm sure we have a lot of amazing collaborations in the future. So this is where I am right now, and I have all of that which didn't kill me to thank for molding this hopefully diamond you see in front of you from the piece of sloppy coal that it was, and that coal was very close to being obliterated in the inferno, very close, and miraculously almost now after years of pressure and diligence and discipline and centeredness, I've become what I am now, and I believe I'm still not fully cut into the diamond I wish to be. I believe there's this old Zen Zen saying, a Zen anecdote, that a young student goes to an old master and says, "How long is it going to teach me? How long will it take me to learn of your martial discipline?" The master sips his tea and says, 10 years. The young student naively says, "Well, what if I work," though zealously, "what if I work twice as hard, twice as fast?" Expecting the master to say 5 years. Instead, the master sips his tea again and says 20 years. So it is, you're never done mastering something. So there's never a plateau. Once you plateau, as I always tell my clients, my fitness clients, we're doing something wrong because we can't plateau. Plateau means the only place left to go, unless you do the right thing, is down. That's not acceptable. We have to be perpetually going upwards, and that is the secret and the quintessence of evolution.
Yeah. No, Andre, man, I appreciate you sharing that, just being vulnerable about that, because I've shared with people over the years, and it's not about preaching to them about being aware of the evils of alcohol, but that's definitely something that I wanted to kind of highlight on this podcast, because there's so many people that are being wrecked, or have been wrecked by alcohol and drugs and the abuse of it. And let me specify the abuse of it. And just being able to have people share those stories is really, really, really pivotal and vital, because it can just save so many people the heartache and all the pain that can come from it. Because I think you're one of many stories that you're fortunate to be right where you are right now. Whereas we know countless stories of some people that never got out of that situation. Yeah. So
I myself, unfortunately, know numerous individuals who weren't as lucky as I was, and were my age or younger, who unfortunately have are not with us anymore because of overdose, or because of succumbing to mental health issues, primarily due to substance abuse. And you look at the state of the world right now. It's in a state of flux, obviously. With us against them, with so much division and so much cacophony, that a lot of people, friends I have included, very strong, important for society friends, are just having a hard time coping with all of the aggression in the world. And so they turn to that quick fix, which makes them happy for a little. There's a great Buddhist saying that an ounce of pleasure causes a pound of pain. And I find that to be perfectly comparable to what addiction is. You do that little bit of cocaine, or a lot of cocaine, and feel that little bit of pleasure for 2, 3, 5 hours, but then you feel like absolute crap for a week. And not to mention, the decisions you make are awful, and everything is a cycle. So the decisions you make now, butterfly domino effect, 10 years from now. So let me give you an example with drinking. Let's say you go out the night before and then you drink too much. Not to mention, you're probably spending $200 on booze, and not to mention physically you're deteriorating. I mean, it's literally poison. It's called spirit for a reason. It possesses you. It's an awful thing. Alcohol is, again, in moderation. If you could drink a glass of good red wine, or you could drink a beer with your friends, all power to you. If you could do that, enjoy. That's probably actually good for you, because you're calming your nerves down, you're with friends. But I would say only like 5% or 10% of people that I've come across are able to have 2 glasses of red wine with their dinner, instead of opening up the second and third and fourth bottle of wine and convincing themselves that the polyphenols in it are healthy for them, when in reality they're drinking the equivalent of a bottle of Jaeger towards the end. So that's where control and discipline is so important. And I'm able to go to bars with my friends. I'm able to go to make cocktails, because I'm a very good cook and bartender. So I'm making cocktails for my friends, and I have no desire of drinking. Instead, I try to focus on how I can make a good mocktail for myself. And now I have a nice list of mocktails, which probably could open up some faux bar and start serving mocktails to a bunch of fellow non-drinkers. Actually, I've been very happy recently, over the last few years, especially, seeing just how many more mocktails there are. Because I do go out to a lot of exclusive events and all sorts of red carpet events here and there, and all sorts of athletic events and private parties. And so, of course, there's alcohol, and I used to feel like a total jackass drinking a Shirley Temple while everyone's drinking martinis and Dom Perignon. But now, I'm able to have a nice fresh squeezed faux margarita or something. So that again is a microcosmic, showing of how things are progressing in the right direction, which is also an important piece of advice I could give anybody that feels overwhelmed right now with the state of things. Is that keep looking for all the positives that are also out there, the advancements in medicine, and the unity of people coming, and the truth being, and everything, so just keep focusing on the good, and that's what you're going to start to attract to yourself.
Definitely, definitely. And speaking of on your work as a trainer, um, I want you to like elaborate and emphasize a little bit more about the meditation and breathing techniques that you employ, and as well, I'm interested in understanding the positive impact these had that I guess these techniques have had on your clients.
I believe in a best of all worlds approach to trading. Since I began training 18 years ago, I've always been obsessed in accumulating a never ending catalog of positive elements to add to my training. For instance, I take in what I find to be very helpful resources and elements in yoga. I get trained by yoga masters, either my friends or even at Chelsea, just go take one of the great classes from one of our colleagues who are masters who have hundreds of hours of certifications to their name. And I pick up some stretches and I pick up some breathing methods that I incorporate into my training. The same goes for martial arts and Pilates and kettlebell and Viper and all of these wonderful modalities that are out there. So what I've learned with the best of both worlds approach is that Eastern medicine is great. It has ancient wisdom to it. It has amazing benefits to it. And modern medicine or Western science is great. It has all these advancements and all of these, quick results garnering. So why not hybridize both of them to have
Right.
that perfect best of both worlds approach instead of having just one facet of the spectrum. So regarding breathing and meditation, I going into the endocrine system, which is our hormonal system, exercise is scientifically proven to create an amazing array of positive benefits for individuals. And I've written just some of these down from a quick Google search. So exercising helps with bone health, prostate health, cardiovascular health, muscle and bone mass, overall health and well-being, mood, cognition, social behavior and status, sexual health, sleeping, circadian rhythm, immune system. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Do any sort of search, and all this is going to be proven how exercise raises the good hormones in your body, the dopamine, the serotonin, the endorphins, these hormones that drugs mimic or drugs make you feel artificially for a few moments and then crashes you unnaturally so that you're trying to catch that dragon to get back into that zone. Exercise, the runner's high, that workout high, that's a natural positive stress that you're doing to your body. And for the long run, you're absolutely blessing yourself with all of these and many more benefits that I've just read. Adding breathing to the equation and meditation really helps with the mind aspect of it, the concentration, which exponentially makes these results better and more evident and more masterful.
Mm.
So when you're exercising, you have all these aforementioned good hormones up and balanced in a positive place. And you're also lowering your quote unquote stress hormones, your bad hormones. So they're not really bad, they're just, mismanaged by us. But for instance, adrenaline. Just the right amount of adrenaline, and you have that confidence, that good mood, that energy. Too much adrenaline wears and tears on your bones and your organs and your heart.
Right.
And same thing with cortisol levels, which is a stress hormone. It lowers and balances it properly, and that's what exercise does. So then afterwards, when you work out, when you have a nice strength and conditioning workout with the conventional deadlift and the squats and high intensity circuit training and whatnot, your body is in a state of readiness to assimilate all of these hormones which are responsible for your growth and your possible regeneration and everything from growing your nails to making you being able to see clearly. So you're now in a positive state. Why not heighten that? Why not keep adding to the parlay and now meditate and focus your breathing on what exactly, and what specifically it is that you wish these hormones to mold yourself and your reality into? It's scientific. So closing your eyes or not and meditating and properly breathing creates a state for you to be able to a canvas. I want to say I get a little metaphorical. So it creates a canvas for you to be able to draw yourself with your hormones, with these scientifically proven elements which shape you, literally shape you. You have a much clearer definition of what it is that you want to feel, see, look like. And I find it to be amazingly beneficial. Not to mention, breathwork and meditation really helps with stress. This is one of the first things they say. What do you do when you're stressed? Just breathe. Just take a deep breath. And all of us are stressed right now in our own way. Come on, find me one person who's not stressed. I'm a meditation and Zen instructor. I'm stressed. You're stressed. People are stressed. You turn on the news. You're met with a melange of awful news. There's no
Yep.
good news. And so you go in there, and a lot of people go for the quick fix, the Xanax and the pharmaceuticals and everything, or the bottle, or destructive behavior like compulsive shopping, or even plastic surgery. People get addicted to anything. Gambling, of course. Oh, your bills are due, but you want to go on that vacation. Let me take that $500 paycheck and let me try to turn that into $3,000.
Mhm.
That's not practical because you have a much smaller chance of actually doing it than you do of just throwing that money away. And now you find yourself in an exponentially worse scenario. So
Yep.
when you calm down, when you breathe, when you set yourself in the right trajectory, you are mastering yourself instead of falling prey to the ego and to your bad habits. And yeah, that's one of the many reasons why breath work and meditation is so important. And even at its very simplest, like teaching a client how to do a box breath, which is one of the things that they've shown Navy SEALs, for instance, to utilize in their training. You just breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds. I tell my clients, what's the worst that could happen? Do 10 of these at night, especially if you could visualize. So you start with the first visualization drill of actually closing your eyes and drawing a box with your eyes closed, maybe with white
Mhm.
light or whatever is customized by you. So you start that off, and now you're starting to visualize. Now you're starting the basic rudimentary path of being able to control your thoughts and to control your intentions. And then you add
Right.
on layers upon layers. Then why don't you use your box breath intrinsically, and instead of drawing a box which you see with your eyes closed, 11 o'clock at night with the UV light off and everything, why not just start now imagining what you want your body to look and feel like, or what do you imagine a good event to transpire in your life, God willingly. And that, even if you don't believe that that's going to create that event to happen, what it does is it calms down your stress, because instead of focusing on your stress, which is an energy, you're now focusing on a positive intention, on something that
Mhm.
makes you excited. And at the same time, you are balancing and strengthening your hormones, which scientifically, physically, is going to get your body into a better state, which will now allow yourself to think clearer, which will now allow you to manifest more properly. And so you actually start the cycle in the right direction. And breathing and meditation is a fundamental pillar of doing just that.
And as you're speaking of the endocrine system, we know that endocrinology, or the practice of endocrinology, falls under the practice of internal medicine, and that internal medicine is preventative care. And being here in Brooklyn, New York, we've seen a couple of internal medicine places, but you don't. They're not obviously um, as I guess they're not as proficient, or as you don't see them as much as you do like um, conventional medicine places. So why, I don't know, why do you think that there is, or not, there's not a greater emphasis on you know using this method and looking at preventative care? Why do you think, especially in this country and in the West, there's not a greater emphasis on preventative medicine?
Yeah, that's interesting you say that. So I was actually just sharing with a friend how in China and some other places, let's say you get to the hospital, you're not just prescribed um, pharmaceuticals and doctor visits and medicine. You're prescribed a qigong and tai chi routine. Qigong comes from qi, which is a word for energy, which is the energy that we are. We are energy. Um, and so when you're getting help, when you're convalescing, the East has believed for thousands of years, and myself as well, is that rapidly helps you heal is the way that you move the energy, the way that you set your mind frame, and the way that you move towards your goal of healing. When John Lennon, the great musician, the Beatle, was a child, he was a very sickly child, and his mother would always tell him, "John, remember, don't tell your body you're sick. Tell your body, convince your body that you're healing. Your body doesn't know the difference. It's going to create that cycle into happen." And in terms of why the West isn't utilizing it, oh boy, I mean, I'm sure this is a rabbit hole we could go into in detail, and quite honestly, I'm not a fan, especially nowadays, of really getting too political about it. But I believe a lot of it comes from stubbornness, and I believe a lot of it comes from money. From is there a way to be able to sell breathing and meditation? You could sell a pill, but how easily can you sell breathing and meditation and things with you can't pack. But
Right.
I don't know. That's just my guess. I'm not an expert, in all honesty, in the way that the medical system here operates bureaucratically. I'm not, nor do I care to be, in all honesty. I'd rather concentrate on getting healthy.
Want to know how I went from this to this in 3 months? Well, then take a look at Micro Fitness's online programs. Do you have a gym membership and you don't know what you're doing in the gym? Or do you need help losing weight, building strong glutes, and a tiny waist? Well, then try our programs Build the Muscle, Drop the Fat, and Build That Booty, Lose the Gut. No gym? No problem. Try our Bodyweight Muscle Blow Up. Click on the link in the description to get started today. Just coming back to your story and how you were able to make that change and also deal with as you say, you're 9 years sober now. For those
Yeah.
people who think that it's beyond their reach to transform, to change, to become the best version of themselves, what do you say to those people who think that they're beyond that?
You're not. You're not. I mean, I'm not comparing my story, my travels to anybody. It's impossible. Everybody has their own road to walk. But trust me when I tell you that if I could get out of the hole that I was in to where I am right now, anybody can. I I'm not a superhero. Nothing makes me special except my willpower, except my wanting to turn myself and my life around, to which it did. It did right now. I have the life on the precipice, at least, of having the life I dreamt of. Now I have the life that I couldn't even believe I would have had a decade ago. And a lot of people say, you have to get to rock bottom. In my case, I did. In fact, I got so low into rock bottom that I got into rock bottom. I still wasn't satisfied in how low I was. So I took a freaking jackhammer and I tried to get even lower to see how deep the abyss and the void would go. And I'm telling you right now, I went so deep that I'm lucky that I could even see the light at all. It really is, and no one really, in my experience at least, and at least for myself, again, I'm not going to speak for anybody, but unless the person truly realizes that they need to get themselves on the right path and switch this illness, which start healing this illness with the resources which are available, and whether that is AA, whether that is if you need in treatment program, whether that is whatever intervention you need, whatever medication you need, I'm completely okay with whatever it is. There's no right way to
Right.
to get, because everybody is unique, everybody's idiosyncratic. In my case, it ended up getting myself into so much trouble where I made a pact with the universe, and then I absolutely kept it and will always keep it, to never drink again, to be a man of integrity, to follow Bushido, to follow the art of righteousness, and to be where I am. That was my path. And I didn't have anybody sermonize to me, oh, this, and that. I effed up. And then I realized that I am either not never getting a chance again, or I am going to be able to share my story and to help people, which I've been doing. And in these last 9 years alone, since I got sober, I believe I've helped well over 5,000 people one way or another, whether that was direct training, whether it was through social media presence, which I had, for instance, for Facebook during the lockdown. I had a group page I was giving out free training advice, free motivation advice, free virtual training, free nutritional advice to thousands of people who are dealing especially roughly with the lockdown and with the whole COVID era. Insanity that was occurring physically and mentally with their spirits. And still at this point, I'm having people reach out from the woodwork telling me, oh, like this post helped them, or this cat meme helped them, and or this, and that makes me feel amazing. It just makes me want to keep doing what I'm doing. And if I, for instance, would have had that one extra drink, and I'm speaking directly to anybody that might have an issue or that has an issue, if I had that one more bottle or that one more stupid night, and I would have or I would have been hit by a car, or I would have fell off a bridge, in a blackout state of mind, or who knows what else, these thousands upon thousands of people, which are cumulatively growing every day, because now just I'm around more and more people, and I'm around more and more influences, that I wouldn't leave a positive mark for them. And you are there to live your life and to help everyone. And the reason that you are in the state that you are right now is not necessarily too important. Don't dwell on the past. Just take it one step at a time, as the great Lao Tzu said, the great Taoist philosopher, that the 10,000-mile journey starts with a single step. So just keep going the right direction. And of course, exercise is, in my opinion, one of the most potent, important ways to turn that negativity of addiction into positivity. And even in the gym, you see people being addicted to the gym, but listen, I would say it's a lesser of two evils than being addicted to the bottle. You see some people in the gym who are there for 5, 6, 7 hours every single day. Good for them. They're just, again, maybe that's something that it's idiosyncratic to them, but at least they're on a positive trajectory forward. And
Right.
breathing and meditation is one of the things also which I highly recommend, no matter how deep it is that you are in the sauce or in whatever addiction that you are in, whether it's substance or otherwise, is just try to breathe and try to get to the root cause of your temptations, of your triggers, of your intention. Do you wish to be in this state? And I know somebody, he is an amazingly talented trainer. I'm telling you, you know me, I know my fitness. He is an incredible trainer, but man, oh man, is he deep into the chemicals. And I'm telling you right now, I've tried everything subtly and openly to get him to just realize how dangerous of a game he's playing. And he just not only laughs it off, he sends me all sorts of memes promoting this bad behavior. This also he glamorizes his addiction, truly glamorizes. In fact, he gets so passive about it, mentioning that he turns you into a joke. Now, what else? What else can you do for this individual until him realizing, and he was already in a massive accident, which should have woke him up. Nope. Instead, he just makes light of it. Wow. So really, a person has to cross that bridge, I believe, by their own way. But friends of these individuals who see this person struggling, in my opinion, should really get them to do positive things. Go in nature, seek help, obviously, but if the person's fighting it, just start being a little bit more subtle. Send them information. perhaps show them. This actually worked on me once when someone recorded me acting like a drunken asshole one night, showing me just how disgusting I look, both physically and energetically. And that for a while just kind of like, what am I doing? Once you see it. So for instance, like if someone's talking about who knows what else, perhaps, like record their voice and play back to them when they're sober. Let them hear that they're not the same person that they are, and let them realize. I mean, that's just one way. There's, again, no right or wrong way. But also, most importantly, I believe, is show them love, show them respect, and guide them. Don't force them. Guide them into making more healthy decisions. But it's exercise, breathing, meditation, creativity, writing, art, music. Obviously, all of these things are proven to really get you going in the right direction.
And something clicked for me when you said, the number of people that you've been able to help. You think about the exponentiality of just what the impact of one person has on another, right? So I've always remembered to say, like, each one teach one, right?
Mhm,
And
mhm.
so it's like one person, like you think, oh, I'm only helping one person, but then that person goes on to help another person, and then that, right? So that cycle continues. So the problem is that I think, as you alluded to, the problem with us and why there's so much brokenness in our experience is that we don't have cyclical thinking. We think that the buck stops at us, right? We don't realize that how we treat someone either creates a positive cycle or a negative cycle that's going to continue on, right? And so these are the things that we need to think about each and every day, each and every interaction, right? So I was really impacted by you just sharing that. It just like clicked for me when you said that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's humanity is a cumbersome journey, that's for sure. I
Yeah.
speak. I'm friends and acquaintances and colleagues with a bunch of amazing individuals in martial arts and traditional Chinese medicine, even plant medicine, shamanism, and everybody, whether they are the most balanced, strong individual, on the planet, or someone that's seen it all, like myself, I believe, none of us say that life is easy. It's not. Life
Yeah.
isn't easy. Life is beautiful, but it's not
Yeah.
easy. Going
Oh, no.
getting the results in the gym isn't easy, but it's beautiful. It's a
Yeah.
schlep. It takes a lot of grit, a lot of diligence to go to the gym 3, 4, 5, 6 times a week, even for an hour, hour and a half, because you have to force yourself to go in that proper trajectory to stretch, to warm up, to exercise properly, to eat nutrition. What a discipline nutrition is, especially in this country, especially we have so much temptation around us. The neon lights of the M's and the the Kings and the
Yep.
chip, it's tempting, especially the wafting of the smells and everything, and to eat your quinoa, and to eat your grass-fed steak, and to eat your healthy fats, and to remove seed oils from your diet, and to cook more by yourself. It's amazing, how much better life gets when you start to make the little changes. And this it's one of the oldest sayings probably, but don't leap over the mountain in one jump. Start going step by step. Rome wasn't built in a day, and all that. Enjoy
Yeah.
the ride. Make a bunch of positive changes. When I have a client come in, the first thing I do is I ask them. Like in our gym also, and in any gym, you're supposed to really get into the interview with the clients and get into the root cause of it. I cut straight to the chase. My first question before anything is, how can I help you?
Mm.
And with that, we create a game plan. And of course, sometimes it's a little bit of a seemingly far fetched thing. Let's say I have a client come in and said, I want to turn 10 pounds of fat into muscle.
Mhm.
Very doable. Now, if the client comes in and says, I want to turn 10 pounds of fat into muscle in a week, that's obviously not doable.
Right.
So we take the good and then we take the impossible out of it. So, okay, you want to turn 10 pounds of fat into muscle? Very doable. But here's the thing. We're going to do it right. We're going to do it step by step. We're going to do it naturally. We're going to do it collaboratively. So we start doing the little things which then start to add up, piecing the pieces, the jigsaw pieces into the puzzle properly instead of just trying to smash it in naturally and then eventually having the whole shebang unwind on itself or looking like some sort of deformed abomination of what it was supposed to be, i.e., abusing, chemicals or any of that jazz or surgeries. So one of the first things that I do, going back to the meditation and breath work, using meditation and breath work, is to change my client. If they have that, I have to work out in the gym to get the results that I need to. Two, I get to work out in the gym to have the results that I need to. And
Sure.
you look at the people in the gym, who are the fittest and happiest people in the gym? The ones that want to be there, correct? Myself included, yourself included. Some clients I'm sure we have, our colleague trainers. We want to be there. We're enjoying that process. Just like people, for instance, who are, I don't know, in let's say the golf game industry, they enjoy going to the driving range. They enjoy working on their putt game. They enjoy it. And so they are immersing themselves in that container of energy, which is directly equal to what it is that they're going to receive out of it. If you're going to the gym, you're going to look for an excuse, like a kid on a snow day that the school is open. You're just looking for an excuse not to go into school, right? If you have to go to
Yeah.
school, you're there, miserable, not paying attention, watching the clock tick until it's 3 p.m. It's a grind, right? And what happens then? What happens then when you grind, when you don't want to do something, is you're setting off a chain reaction of stress hormones, of fight or flight responses in your body, which then is going to make it harder for you to get the results that you want. Because now physically, now scientifically, you are setting yourself at a disadvantage by miring yourself in the ground, instead of being light and flowing into the gains that you wish to attain.
This is June. We're coming down to the end of June. We're in Men's Mental Health Month.
Yeah.
And I want to be as frank and genuine as possible when it comes to dealing or talking about this. The average male or average guy that I've encountered, myself included, when we ask, "Hey man, how are you?" It's yeah, I'm all right, right? And then sometimes the other response is, if people are really being genuine, like, if I'm not all right, what are you going to do about it? Right. So it's usually, as men, I think we've gotten so good at this, like pushing our feelings down, uh, not really caring for ourselves, not considering ourselves, because in some weird way, the world communicates to us, and in some way, we communicate to ourselves that we don't matter, that we're insignificant. And I want to really touch on that. I want to talk about how important it is for us to be vulnerable with ourselves, vulnerable with others, right, other men as well, and not feel like there's anything that is like not masculine about sharing. Hey, this is how I'm feeling, man. This is what I'm going through. Because we do know that there's a high rate of suicide among men, especially now. So let's speak to that a little bit as well. I'm not sure if that's something that you experienced in your experience. I know that it's something that I've experienced as well, dealing with depression, dealing with suicidality as well. And it's something that, as I said, I've kind of alluded to it in a couple of episodes, but it's one of those things where I'm like working the courage up to talk about. So so I just want to give you that space to talk about that as well.
Yeah. I've been dealing with anxiety since I can remember. From the trauma, one of the going deep into my meditations into why I fell off, why I started drinking as much as I did and doing the wrong things as much as I did. There's numerous reasons. One was, growing up with very likely having attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and not dealing with it as well. That turned into OCD, which then was exacerbated heavily by my one of the closest people in my life developing Alzheimer's and seeing the deterioration. For instance, I was being woken up once or twice a week by this family member yelling, the war is here, or turning the lights on and just start yelling. It's continuous post-traumatic PTSD. And that, of course, was one of the reasons why I started to drink so much, is because the alcohol started to numb all of these pains. And the same individual would almost burn the house down, leaving the stove on while getting lost, walking around shirtless in my neighborhood and leaving the door wide open, to any thief to come in. And I, as someone who was not dealing with my already inherent psychological obstacles, was just being continuously exacerbated and pummeled by this continuous PTSD, by this continuous stress. Then I started to drink and party too much, which then, of course, created substantially more stress to drink and party about. And that just started to exacerbate, the cycle was going the opposite of what I spoke about earlier, that positive cycle of getting the gains and getting yourself healthy. I just started spiraling, and I was not dealing with it psychologically. I, at that time, was barely meditating, if at all. I really started to get into deep meditation and proper techniques 9 years ago when I started the path of sobriety. So I was just in a continuous state of panic attack. I developed agoraphobia. I couldn't leave the house for a while, dealing with my legal ramifications out of embarrassment and out of just nervous breakdowns and just continuous stress. I was so stressed out. I was so stressed out that my stomach started to fail, that my stomach issues, which were started from alcohol and stimulants, were exacerbated by chronic stress, to the point where I really felt like someone was hurry-curing me, like samurai suiciding me continuously with a samurai sword the whole throughout
Right.
the day. And I was facing the very real possibility that I was going to die. In terms of suicide, of course, I had many thoughts of like, gee, would it be much easier and less painful if I didn't have to experience this? But I gotta tell you, one of the probably the only lucky thing about being in a chronic state of anxiety is that you don't have any time or mental resources to be depressed, because you have to either be anxious or depressed. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't have bipolar, so I'm not sure how that works. But like, I'll tell myself personally, I did have also some moments where I'm just laying in bed and I'm just like, I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to get up. I have no money. I have no friends that I did not embarrass, or I didn't embarrass myself around. I have no prospective things up around the bend. Parts of my family don't speak with me out of the stupid shit that I'd done when I was younger, because they're very proud individuals, very old school proud individuals. And so, my mental health was in a constant state of absolute flux, but I was still staying sober. And I was realized I something happened, and if you tell me what was the catalyst behind it, I wouldn't know, at least out of this moment. But then something happened where I started to really appreciate the beauty out there, the beauty everywhere. So there were moments where I'm in a chronic state of anxiety. Like I'm in a train, for instance, because I was living upstate for years, and then I started to get my certifications here and working in the gyms in the city. So I had to take the trains, rush hour especially, and I'm also claustrophobic. So I was in a constant state of panic. But then I'm passing by the New York City skyline over the Manhattan Bridge, and just for a moment there, my mind stops for a minute, and I'm just like, geez, this is beautiful. And then that I kind of realized, what if I just focus on the things which I find to be beautiful? And it wasn't easy, of course, but then I realized I started to get stronger and more disciplined doing that. So I realized meditation and breath work is something that truly helps that. I realized that playing the sports I like, handball, beach volleyball, football, really took that away. And again, scientifically, my endorphins were up, my good hormones were up, my stress hormones were down, my fight or flight reflexes were down. And so I gave myself a much more even playing field and a much more lucid perspective to deal with it. And they say time heals all, and this too shall pass. And this is so true. It's so true. And it's, regarding what you spoke about, men not speaking, that comes from this draconian draconian worldview that a strong man is a quiet man and suffers to himself. That is
Mhm.
total and utter bullshit. That is, in my opinion, not a strong man, but a scared man. You know,
Yeah.
a man. I truly began to heal when I started to speak about it, like I am doing right now. 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I would never be able to be in front of a camera, speaking about this stuff candidly as I am now. Now I do it proudly. I do it happily. I do it not because I have to, because I want to. And it took a
Right.
lot of work. If I told you the amount of times that I laid in bed crying, or the amount of times that I laid in bed, or you look at my bones, some of them are broken from punching inanimate objects and walls, just from the pain of it all. Oh, I went through it all. But you know what? You need to get help. It's still, I would not be able to do it alone. I did not do this alone. I forgot to even say this. Without the support of my parents, without the support of certain mentors that I had in my life and deep friends who never left me throughout my troubles, I would not be able to be here.
Right.
And the support system, community, you know, that is what we need. And that is what we need. One of the hormones that is paramount to our growth and our survival as a human race is oxytocin, which is the love hormone, which so many people try to emulate with MDMA or with cocaine or with whatever it is, with binge shopping or with gambling,
Yeah.
No, you get that through hugs. You get that through empathy. You get that through love. You get that through spirit, through dealing with your adversities and being able to transmute them. That you can't do it alone. I mean, yes, maybe there is that one in a billion person Batman that could go off into into a
Yeah.
cabin somewhere off a lake off of Quebec or something and live it. Good for them. But not the people that I've met across, not myself personally. So please, for anybody that is out there struggling, man, woman, anyone that's struggling with any sort of deep psychological distress, speak about speak about it. You will get the help if you seek it. Especially one of the great things about this country is there's a lot of resources out there. There's resources
Yeah.
everywhere. You go online. There's nonprofits. There's private calls. There's suicide helplines, hotlines. There's mentors available. There's alcohol and drug counseling available. Go out and meet new people, meet new friends, meet positive influences in your life, and you're going to start rising your oxytocin levels, which is then going to get you less of a psychological and physical need to simulate them via drugs and alcohol, which will then cause you to have a myriad of mental anguishes.
Yeah.
So definitely, go write about it, do a podcast about it, do a TikTok about it, anything, but don't hold it in. You know,
Right.
you can't, like, let's say, like, you have a chimney and you light it. You have to open up the duct to let the smoke out. Otherwise, it's just going to start to bellow and to get into your vicinity and asphyxiate you. You have
Hmm.
to properly let loose all this energy. And this is why one of the reasons I love doing Qigong and Tai Chi every day is to move the energy around the stagnation. You start to get a stagnant thought of woe is me, of I hate myself, or body dysmorphia, or this and that. Move the energy around. Then speak
Yeah.
about it. Eat well. The more it is that you eat, watch out for the inflammatory foods. Watch out for the quick junk food fix, because that's just going to make it worse. This is
Yeah.
like discipline is the key word. Discipline. I don't want to sound like one of those callous old school sensei that says you must be disciplined to get the results you want. But you do need to be. Let's be honest. No one's going to give you serenity. No one's going
Yeah.
to give you serenity. No pill's going to give you serenity. These pills are just going to take it away from you. You have
Yeah.
to work for it and you have to want it. The same way, if you want a six pack, you got to get to the gym and you got to start doing your planks and your V ups. So,
Yeah. Definitely. And
but I just want to also add one more thing. Towards the end, I'm going to give my Instagram handle, and anybody that feels like they just want to talk or things are too deep, they could reach out to me. And I've had people reach out to me from all over the world, from comments, because I posted, I see some Instagram profiles which are glamorizing really bad habits. Like there's this one person out there that's always effed up, promoting, being drunk as a skunk, even though I see him deteriorating in front of my eyes, just his health wise. So I commented about myself and just advising him friendly, to maybe get a little bit of help. And I had an individual, a young man from Australia, reach out to me. I had an individual from Japan reach out to me. I had an individual from Denmark reach out to me who are dealing with addiction and thanking me for being so transparent. And then I started to share with them the ways that I got myself into the right place. So if anybody feels that they want someone to talk to who's been through it, my door is always open and I will not charge you anything. I do this. I'm a man of karma, of good karma, of Bushido. If you feel that you need to speak to someone, my line is always open regarding these matters.
Well, we definitely appreciate that, man. And I'll definitely, put the social media handle there on the bottom so that everyone can see it and definitely reach out. So, I know earlier, it was a couple of weeks ago, I know you did a piece on me in the Staten Islander. And I know we did it on another colleague as well, one of our group fitness trainers here. Talk about how you guys started and your work with the Staten Islander, and then what is your wider vision, in doing that work for them.
First of all, it was an honor to interview you. As mentioned, I'm such a fan of yours, and you really, really impressed me by your work that you work with neurodivergent individuals. And I myself, with the ADHD and OCD, know what it's like to have elements of neurodivergency. And I know, for instance, you are real, you are authentic, and that's why I was honored to at least have some readers recognize you for the work that you do. Just as I guess reciprocally you're doing right now with this podcast for me. And
Right.
as mentioned, I always moonlit as an author. I always had the gift of gab, being able to write. I've always had so much to write about, and quite honestly, my psychological distress is one of the fundamental topics. When with my ADHD, it was always difficult for me to write, and especially I refused to take any of the stimulant medication. But writing, once I actually forced myself to do it, just opened up a wonderful chain of positive bliss for me. One of the things, piggybacking off the last thing I said about finding something that stimulates your good hormones. And the Staten Islander, like many of my other writing gigs, I found on Craigslist. Once in a while, I just go on the Craigslist, the job seeking platforms, and I just something that resonated with me, that they're a hyper local paper, for Staten Island, but they're online, so a lot of New York City reads them, and they allowed me to do a fitness column last year called Fit Fusion, where I was talking about all of the benefits of all of these wonderful techniques and modalities out there: yoga, Pilates, Kung Fu, Jiu-Jitsu, kickboxing, and trying to bring the wisdom of these practices and the benefits to a reader base which might not have been informed by it without any sort of articles on it. And so I just started writing. I took a bit of a sabbatical to join Chelsea and then to focus on myself. And I reached back to the editor saying, I have an idea. I know all of these amazing, amazing, wonderful men and women that I've come across in my travels and do come across who directly could share with the public their brilliance, their wisdom, all of the thousands of hours that they've spent learning what it is and practicing and instructing what it is that they learn, to share a little bit of their wisdom with the general public. And you were my second interview, actually. My first one is a dear friend of mine, Jordan Morgan, who I've worked with at Equinox. He's a great trainer. He's an ex NFL lineman for the Jets and Cowboys. Now is a champion heavyweight MMA fighter. Brilliant individual. He is just not only a physical master, he is an amazing human being, and an amazing, brilliant mind. And it was an honor to work with him. And we have some future collaborations on the line. And same with you, and same with Michael Hewitt, who I did a piece on his yoga and music. And so I want to showcased individuals how many different approaches there are to mastering yourself. And when you do so, and when you get, these amazing bits of wisdom straight from the grapevine, you start to get inspired and you start to have more tools in your toolbox which allow you to shift from the negative frequencies of addiction and of psychological mental health issues and of bad habits to positive ways which are not condescending, which are not inauthentic, which are real, which are proven, and which are detailed directly from the source, from masterful beings such as yourself, Jordan, Michael, Nicole, and the next individuals that which I will do the pieces on. So very thankful for the Stand Islander for giving me a platform and giving all of my interviewees a platform to be able to share what it is that makes them the strong men and women and the very inspirational, the very helpful men and women that they are. And thank you for taking your time to be featured in it.
And I want to also mention that you also are a published author, and I remember how excited you were to mention one of the titles of your works. And so I wanted to kind of touch on one of the works. I know that you have it for sale on Amazon at the moment. So I'll speak on that and also the other works that you have coming.
So I post. So one of the this is I'm being completely transparent. Is as good of a writer as I am, I still am a bit not that well versed with actually piecing it together properly in a nonfiction format. By that I mean I always wrote about my drunken tales and my travels and some fictional works which flowed very very much like the Beatniks and Bukowski and Kerouac, and Hunter S. Thompson, which is very enjoyable. But it's a bit difficult for me personally to take all of the scientific stuff that we've been talking about and put that into a nonfiction form. The reason I say that is the book that I have on Amazon, I wrote and it's still not edited. It's called Level Next Level. And everyone that's seen it says that it has amazing, amazing insight and information on it. But the problem is that I'm still looking for a nonfiction editor, a scientific editor, to just work on the grammar and the punctuation, the syntax of it, to make it much more textbook. So it is available for free on Amazon if you have Kindle, and again, it has all the information on it. I just want to put a little disclaimer that it's still raw. It's still unedited by a professional editor, and I'm a perfectionist. So again, the information is there. It's all about the endocrine system. It's all about balancing exactly what we were talking about. There's about 36 meditation and breathwork exercises there. A bunch of core exercises and detailed on how they help with the endocrine system with raising the good hormones, a bunch of herbs on there, a bunch of wise anecdotes from masters that I've come across, a bunch of studies. And I really recommend everybody, perusing it. But also, I just want to throw it out there that I'm still not happy with the way that it's edited, or lack thereof. But it is available on Kindle. So if you want to check it out, it's called Level Next Level ! And as mentioned, I'm actually speaking with the editor next week to get it fully fixed, and hopefully it's going to be re-released in its proper, scientifically appropriate way within the next 4 or 5 months.
Oh, great. Now, I'm definitely looking forward to reading that. So, Andre, we definitely at this time, we give people the time to share what they have coming next. So I definitely we wanted to share your socials there. So let's take that time to do that here.
It'll be my pleasure. As mentioned, anybody that feels that they wish to speak about addiction or delving into positive ways to shift their mindset, I'm all ears. My Instagram account is at Hi-Chi, that's HIDHCHI _Dre, DREY. I do keep it private to keep the spammers away and everything, but just, if I message me or something, that you've come across it from this podcast, then I'll add you instantly. I'm I am also able to be reached at, you know, via you. So if you feel like someone needs to speak with me, you're more than welcome to give them my number. My email is hi. That's HIGH dot PCHI dot fitness FITNESS at gmail.com. Drop me an email at any time with any sort of questions, concerns, advice, and I'm all ears. Um, Otherwise, yeah, I will start also be doing a weekly complimentary, well, donation based only, not donation for me. You could pay it forward to anyone you want. You could give $1 to a homeless individual, buy someone a cup of coffee. Don't even tell me about it. That's one of these pay it forward group classes. It's going to be at McCarran or Prospect Park in Brooklyn, starting in the second Saturday of July, or after the holiday weekend. The Saturday after the Saturday weekend of the holiday weekend, and you're welcome to join in. The more the merrier. We're going to be doing meditations and group training and all sorts of core exercises and all sorts of drills, and it's just going to be good energy. And again, a natural and effective way to boost oxytocin is to be around like-minded individuals. And a natural way to boost your endorphins and your endocrine system is to work out. And we're going to be getting the best of all of these worlds together. And your serotonin is going to be in a good place because there's going to be sunlight and you're going to be outside. And it's just something that is going to be fun. And again, it's totally complimentary. Just to pay it forward, do whatever it is that you want. Give $1 to your religious organization, buy someone a meal, whatever it is. Open the door for someone. Up to you. And please, I'm going to share more information on it once it's I get the permit to do what it the event, or move it somewhere appropriate. But I'll keep you posted with that, and then you could share it.
Great. And that's in New York as well. That's in Brooklyn, correct?
Yes.
So, guys, if you're in the area, definitely stop in. And Andre, I definitely want to thank you for your time, just sharing what you have with us. Thankful to, get a chance to work with you as well, man. It's definitely been enriching, and I think it's going to continue to be enriching, for the people that we work with, and just enriching for us as colleagues and friends.
Thank you, my friend. And as always, I look forward to all these collaborations we have in the future. A lot of things we've been talking about, and every time I see you, I look forward to picking your brain on a bunch of different wonderful subjects, and always look forward to our conversations, and always look forward to feeling your wonderful energy and to being around such high resonating great people. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and I look forward to our next adventure.
Thank you. So again, another great episode of Books. Thank you for tuning into the I2 South podcast. Again, remember, guys, make the choice to be healthy. Make the choice to be you. Again, this is the I2 South podcast. I'm Stefan Lessie, signing out.